In a climate marked by heightened tensions and political maneuvering, Democratic leaders have rallied to defend Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky amid a contentious meeting with President Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance. The meeting held last Friday escalated into a heated exchange that left Zelensky reportedly feeling unwelcome at the White House, with Trump's aides hinting at potential cuts to military and economic aid for Ukraine. This confrontation has sparked a fierce backlash from key Democratic figures who accuse Trump of acting in alignment with Russian President Vladimir Putin's interests. On Sunday, Senators Amy Klobuchar, Chris Murphy and Bernie Sanders took to national television to express their outrage over the treatment of Zelensky. Klobuchar, who appeared on ABC, articulated her disbelief at the aggressive nature of the meeting, stating, "We stand with our friends, not our enemies." She characterized the interaction as an ambush setup, particularly calling out Vice President Vance for his harshness towards Zelensky, who was advocating for a stronger security commitment from allies to ensure peace. Klobuchar underscored the importance of maintaining U.S. support for Ukraine, stating that the conflict's resolution is crucial for the future of Europe and the free world. Murphy, speaking on CNN, employed stark language to describe the White House's conduct as absolutely shameful. He warned that Trump's approach not only undermines Ukraine but could also jeopardize U.S. national security by emboldening both Putin and China. Murphy cautioned against any ceasefire that might require Ukraine to concede territory, asserting that such a move would facilitate further Russian aggression. Sanders, appearing on NBC's Meet the Press, condemned suggestions from House Speaker Mike Johnson that Zelensky might need to resign as part of a peace deal. He characterized this notion as horrific, emphasizing the importance of supporting a leader defending democracy against authoritarianism. Sanders wrapped his argument in a patriotic sentiment, insisting that the United States must uphold its historical role as a defender of democracy on the global stage. The chorus of Democratic condemnation was not limited to individual senators. Senate Democratic leader Charles Schumer and House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries echoed similar sentiments, framing Trump and Vance's actions as facilitating Putin's agenda. Jeffries described the meeting as appalling, warning that it would only serve to embolden Russian aggression. This fervor in defense of Ukraine highlights a critical divide in American politics centering around foreign policy priorities. While the Democrats have historically confronted Trump on various domestic issues, the current situation underscores a unified front regarding the importance of U.S. involvement in international conflicts, particularly in Ukraine. Schumer's announcement that Senator Elissa Slotkin, a former CIA officer, would deliver the Democratic rebuttal to Trump's upcoming address signifies a continued commitment to a robust foreign policy stance. As the situation unfolds, it remains to be seen how these tensions will play out not only in Congress but also in the broader geopolitical landscape. The U.S. response to the ongoing conflict in Ukraine could shape international relations for years to come, and with the presidential election on the horizon, the stakes are particularly high for both parties. As Democrats strive to counter Trump's narrative and maintain support for Ukraine, the implications of their actions could resonate far beyond the confines of domestic politics. In a surprising shift in U.S. foreign policy discourse, key Republican figures are openly suggesting that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky could be forced to step down to facilitate a peace agreement in the ongoing conflict with Russia. This development follows a contentious meeting between Zelensky and President Donald Trump, where tensions flared and the Ukrainian leader reportedly left the Oval Office without securing a crucial mineral rights agreement that had been anticipated. On Sunday, talk shows prominent Republicans, including National Security Advisor Mike Waltz and House Speaker Mike Johnson, expressed their views regarding Zelensky's leadership in the context of the war. "We need a leader that can deal with us, eventually deal with the Russians and end this war," Waltz stated during an appearance on CNN. He emphasized that if Zelensky's motivations were not aligned with ending the conflict, it could pose a significant problem for future negotiations. The backdrop of these comments is a notable pivot from the Trump administration's earlier stance on Ukraine. The president's harsh criticism of Zelensky during their February 28 meeting, where he labeled the Ukrainian leader disrespectful, reflects a deepening rift between the two leaders. Zelensky, in the face of Trump's rebuke, reiterated Kyiv's need for security guarantees to trust any potential peace deal with Moscow, underscoring the complexities that have characterized this protracted conflict. Despite the tumultuous political climate, some Republican senators have defended Zelensky's position. Senator James Lankford voiced his disagreement with calls for Zelensky to resign, warning that such a move could lead to chaos in Ukraine and hinder the peace process. His remarks highlight the divided opinions within the party regarding the best approach to the conflict. The situation has drawn sharp criticism from Democrats, who have accused the White House of aligning too closely with Russian interests. Senator Chris Murphy stated the White House has become an arm of the Kremlin, highlighting concerns that the U.S. government may be compromising its support for Ukraine by suggesting a change in leadership. Amidst this political turmoil, the broader geopolitical landscape remains uncertain. While European leaders continue to express solidarity with Ukraine, the recent statements from U.S. officials suggest a potential recalibration of American involvement. Secretary of State Marco Rubio articulated the necessity of dialogue, stating, "You cannot end a war unless both sides come to the table." However, he noted the challenges ahead, indicating that the likelihood of a successful negotiation remains tenuous. The evolving dynamics of U.S.-Ukraine relations come at a time when public opinion is also shifting. A recent CBS News poll reveals a split among Americans regarding support for Ukraine, reflecting the complexities of domestic sentiment towards ongoing foreign aid and military involvement. As the unfolding events prompt discussions about the future of U.S. foreign policy, the implications of these recent developments extend beyond Ukraine. The specter of a potential U.S. withdrawal from NATO, fueled by comments from influential figures like Elon Musk, raises questions about the future of transatlantic alliances and security commitments. Despite Trump's critique of NATO and multilateralism, NATO chief Mark Rutte reassured that the U.S. remains committed to the alliance, emphasizing the need for European nations to bolster their defense spending. The intersection of domestic politics, international relations, and public sentiment paints a complex picture for the future of U.S. involvement in Ukraine. As the situation continues to evolve, the potential for a leadership change in Ukraine and its ramifications on the peace process will be closely scrutinized, with lasting impacts on the broader geopolitical landscape. In a bold and unprecedented move, U.S. Senator Brian Schatz DHYI has announced a blanket hold on all of President Donald Trump's nominees to the State Department. The decision stems from the Trump administration's controversial attempt to dissolve the United States Agency for International Development (USAID) as an independent entity. Schatz, who serves as the ranking member of the Senate Appropriations Subcommittee on State Foreign Operations and Related Programs, argues that this action is not only illegal but also jeopardizes national and global security. Schatz's remarks came shortly after Secretary of State Marco Rubio declared himself the acting administrator of USAID. "Dismantling USAID is illegal and makes us less safe," Schatz stated emphatically. USAID was created by federal law and is funded by Congress. Donald Trump and Elon Musk can't just wish it away with a stroke of a pen, they need to pass a law. The senator's passionate defense of the agency highlights the critical role it plays in American foreign policy and international development. This escalation signals a significant political standoff, with Schatz describing the current situation as self-inflicted chaos of epic proportions. He warns that the dismantling of USAID could have dangerous ramifications worldwide, particularly in regions that rely on American aid for stability and development. His stance reflects a growing concern among lawmakers about the implications of executive overreach and the erosion of established governmental structures. As Schatz voiced his opposition in front of USAID's Washington headquarters, the reverberations of this political maneuver were felt throughout the Capitol. The senator's decision to enact a blanket hold is a strategic move designed to pressure the administration into reversing its course. By withholding support for Trump's nominee's shots aims to galvanize bipartisan support in defense of USAID and its mission to promote democratic values and humanitarian efforts globally. This unfolding drama occurs amidst a broader context of increasing tensions in U.S. foreign policy, particularly regarding relations with Russia and Ukraine. Reports have emerged indicating that the Kremlin perceives a shift in U.S. foreign policy under the current administration, suggesting that it now aligns more closely with Moscow's objectives. In a recent statement, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov remarked that this alignment could facilitate a quicker rapprochement between the US and Russia, further complicating the geopolitical landscape. As lawmakers grapple with the ramifications of Trump's policy, Shots's actions underscore a critical moment in the ongoing debate over the direction of US foreign aid and its governance. The situation invites scrutiny not just of the administration's decisions but also of the legislative checks and balances that are vital to maintaining a functional democracy. Looking ahead, the impacts of Shots's hold on nominations remain to be seen. Will this lead to a swift reversal of the administration's actions regarding USAID, or will it exacerbate the partisan divide in Congress? As debates over the future of U.S. foreign policy continue to unfold, the stakes are high for both international relations and the integrity of American institutions. The coming weeks will be crucial in determining how this political drama plays out and its implications for the nation's standing on the global stage. In a poignant address delivered from a Massachusetts food pantry, Congressman Jim McGovern has issued a clarion call regarding the escalating hunger crisis in America ahead of former President Donald Trump's upcoming speech to Congress. McGovern, a prominent advocate for food assistance programs, highlighted the stark realities faced by millions of Americans who struggle to secure enough food, challenging Trump and congressional Republicans to confront the issue head-on. As Trump prepares to deliver his first congressional address since returning to the presidency, McGovern's remarks served as a stark counterpoint to what he anticipates will be a misleading portrayal of the economy. Tomorrow, Donald Trump will stand at that podium, and McGovern asserted, criticizing the former president for neglecting the plight of the 47 million Americans currently grappling with food insecurity. He emphasized that while Trump may tout economic successes, the reality for many is alarmingly different. Food prices are soaring and essential items like eggs are increasingly out of reach for struggling families. Standing at Ginny's Helping Hand, a local pantry, McGovern painted a vivid picture of the challenges facing many Massachusetts residents who rely on the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program (SNAP). He recounted the stories of individuals like a 79-year-old veteran from Springfield and a working single mother from Worcester, both of whom fear losing crucial food assistance amidst proposed budget cuts. At the end of the day, a budget is a moral document, McGovern declared, denouncing the Republican budget as a betrayal of the American people designed to benefit billionaires at the expense of the vulnerable. The congressman's statements come in light of recent legislative maneuvers in Congress where a Republican-backed budget aims to slash food assistance programs dramatically. McGovern warned that such cuts would disproportionately affect children, seniors, veterans, and working families, many of whom already struggle to make ends meet. The average food benefit is just over $2 per person per meal, he explained, underscoring the inadequate support provided by current programs. He noted that most SNAP recipients who can work do so, indicating that the issue is not one of unwillingness but of systemic inadequacy. As the debate over the federal budget intensifies, McGovern's remarks highlight a broader national discourse on economic inequality and the moral responsibility of lawmakers to address hunger. He urged constituents to take action by contacting their representatives and advocating against the proposed cuts, emphasizing the need for solidarity in the fight against hunger. Together, let us build a world where food is a human right, he urged, expressing a hopeful vision for the future. The urgency of McGovern's message is underscored by the increasing visibility of food insecurity in America, a situation exacerbated by rising costs and economic policies that prioritize tax cuts for the wealthy over support for the needy. As Congress grapples with budgetary decisions that could determine the fate of critical assistance programs, McGovern's impassioned plea serves as a reminder of the human faces behind the statistics, a clarion call for compassion and action in a time of need. As lawmakers prepare for contentious budget negotiations, the implications of these discussions will resonate far beyond the halls of Congress, shaping the lives of millions of Americans. McGovern's advocacy signals a growing recognition that addressing hunger is not just a policy issue but a moral imperative, one that will require sustained commitment and action from all levels of government. The coming weeks will be crucial as Congress debates these critical funding issues, and the potential impact on vulnerable populations hangs in the balance. As the Supreme Court prepares to hear pivotal cases involving gun manufacturers, the stakes are higher than ever, particularly in the context of international relations and domestic gun violence. One of the most significant cases on the docket involves Mexico's lawsuit against American gunmakers as the country seeks to hold them accountable for the rampant violence perpetrated by drug cartels armed with U.S.-made weapons. This case not only challenges long-standing legal protections for gun manufacturers but also highlights the fraught relationship between the United States and Mexico amid escalating tensions over drug trafficking and violence. At the heart of Mexico's argument is the assertion that U.S. gun manufacturers have directly contributed to the flow of firearms into Mexico, thereby fueling the violence that has claimed countless lives. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum indicated that if the Trump administration designates drug cartels as terrorist organizations, Mexico would expand its lawsuit, seeking damages estimated to be around $10 billion. It is far easier and far more efficient to stop the crime gun pipeline at its source and to turn off the spigot, Sheinbaum asserted, underscoring Mexico's frustration with the current situation. The Supreme Court's consideration of this lawsuit comes on the heels of a significant ruling allowing the parents of Sandy Hook shooting victims to sue gun makers, yet the court is expected to approach Mexico's case with more skepticism. Gun rights advocates, including the National Rifle Association, argue that the lawsuit threatens the Second Amendment and could financially cripple American firearms manufacturers. They contend that this legal battle is part of a broader effort to undermine gun rights in the U.S., with the NRA stating, "Mexico has extinguished its constitutional arms right and now seeks to extinguish America's." A crucial aspect of the case lies in the 2005 Protection of Legal Commerce and Arms Act, which offers gun manufacturers significant immunity from lawsuits. However, the Boston-based First U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals allowed Mexico's case to proceed, citing that it could meet an exception under the law as Mexico alleges that gun makers knowingly facilitated unlawful trafficking. This ruling could set a precedent that might allow other countries or entities to pursue similar claims against manufacturers of products that contribute to violence. The implications of the Supreme Court's ruling extend beyond this specific case. Analysts are concerned that if the court sides with gun manufacturers, it could effectively shield them from liability even in cases where their products are used in egregious violations of the law. David Pusino, legal director at the Giffords Law Center, voiced concerns that a ruling against Mexico could remove crucial legal avenues for pursuing accountability in gun violence cases, stating they want even illegal conduct by the gun companies to be immunized. As the court grapples with these contentious issues, it must also consider the broader diplomatic context. The strained relationship between the U.S. and Mexico has been exacerbated by tariffs imposed by the Trump administration aimed at pressuring Mexico to take stronger action against drug trafficking. The timing of the Supreme Court's deliberation coincides with an ongoing discourse about how both nations can effectively combat the intertwined issues of drug trafficking and gun violence. In summary, the Supreme Court's forthcoming decision on Mexico's lawsuit against American gun manufacturers will not only impact the future of gun legislation but also shape the dynamics of U.S.-Mexico relations in the context of drug-related violence. As the justices weigh the arguments presented, their ruling, expected by the end of June, could redefine the boundaries of corporate liability in the firearms industry and signal a shift in how international legal disputes involving gun violence are handled. The outcome of this case will be closely watched as it holds the potential to alter the landscape of gun rights and accountability in both countries.